Hey guys, tonight we slip into the frost-bitten shadows of ancient Scandinavia, where the world tree Yggdrasil claws at the sky with gnarled branches. Picture yourself standing on a wind-whipped hill, the air thick with pine and dread, as a crowd murmurs under torchlight. Something heavy is about to go down, a ritual so intense, you probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Ready? Let's step into the chilling grip of Odin's 9-day hanging ritual. Your shivering boots sinking into the muddy slope as Yggdrasil looms like a giant skeleton against the twilight. Its roots, they say, twist through 9 worlds, holding the cosmos together. Tonight, though, it's no myth, it's real, and it's the stage for something gruesome. The crowd around you, cloaked in furs, smells of sweat and meat. They're not here for fun, they're here for Odin, the Allfather, who demands sacrifice to keep the gods' favor. You catch a glimpse of a rope dangling from a high branch, swaying like it's alive. Your stomach lurches. This isn't just any hang-ginge, it's a 9-day ordeal, a test of body and soul. The ritual, drawn from whispers in the sagas of Icelanders, isn't your average Viking send-off. It's a spectacle rooted in Norse belief, where Odin himself hung on Yggdrasil for 9 nights, pierced by his own spear, to snatch the secrets of the runes. Mainstream history backs this. Archaeologists have found bog bodies, some with nooses, suggesting ritual strangulation was a real deal in pre-Christian Scandinavia. But here's a quirky tidbit: some sagas hint the victim might have been fed hallucinogenic mushrooms first to ease their chat with the gods. Ease, yeah, good luck with that. You shuffle closer, the crowd parting. A figure steps forward, a warrior, broad-shouldered, his face painted with ash. He's not fighting this, he's chosen it. Why? Historians still argue whether these sacrifices were truly voluntary, or if the clan's peer pressure was just a fancy noose of its own. Some say it was honor, others say survival fuse, and the gods might curse the whole tribe. You see his eyes, steady but distant, like he's already half gone. The elders chant, their voices low, vibrating through your chest. They're calling Odin, begging for wisdom, victory, or maybe just a good harvest. The air grows colder. You notice the warrior's hands are bound, not with rope, but with woven reed, symbolic, maybe, of Yggdrasil's roots. A joke pops into your head. What's worse than a Viking funeral? One where you're still breathing. You stifle a nervous laugh. The crowd's too tense for humor. Torches flicker, casting shadows that dance like spirits. You're not just watching this story, you're in it, and it's about to get real dark. The elder raises a horn, needs splashing onto the dirt, and the chant shifts to a single, haunting word, Odin. The warrior steps toward the tree, your heart pounds. This is it. You can't look away as the rope is looped around his neck. The crowd holds its breath, and you do too. The ritual's not just about death, it's about enduring, proving something to the gods. 9 days, 9 nights spent between life and death. You wonder if he's scared, or if he believes Odin's waiting on the other side with a high five. Another joke. Maybe Odin's got a best sufferer award. You shake it off. This is no place for levity. The warrior's lifted, the rope creaking against the branch. His feet dangle, just inches off the ground. The crowd chants louder, and you're swept into it, your voice joining theirs, though you don't know why. The first night's begun, and you're already questioning everything. Is this devotion or madness? The sagas don't say much about the crowd's role, but you feel it: complicity, awe, fear. You're part of this now, whether you like it or not. The warrior sways, his breath shallow, and you realize this is only the start. Yggdrasil watches silent, its branches creaking in the wind. You're stuck here, just like him, for 9 long days. You're still here, huddled among the fur-clad crowd, the torchlight flickering like it's trying to escape. Yggdrasil towers above, its branches clawing at the starry sky, and the warrior dangles from that cursed rope, his silhouette swaying like a broken pendulum. The chants from last night haven't stopped, they've just gotten deeper, throatier, as if the clan's trying to drown out their own doubts. You're not sure if you're shivering from the cold or the weight of what's unfolding. The 9-day hanging isn't just a spectacle, it's a conversation with Odin himself, and you're about to learn what it's saying. The elders circle the tree, their faces carved with lines of reverence and fear. You catch snippets of their word-shelf prayer, half plea about wisdom, war, and the gods' fickle favor. This ritual, rooted in the sagas of Icelanders, is Odin's own playbook. Historical fact: Norse mythology describes Odin hanging on Yggdrasil to gain the rune's secrets, a story echoed in real Viking Age burials where bodies were suspended as offerings. But here's a quirky twist: some sagas suggest the chants weren't just for Odin but to keep mischievous spirits from snatching the warrior's soul mid-ritual. Paranoid much? Maybe they had a point. You edge closer, the ground squelching under your boots. The warrior's still alive, his chest rising in shallow gasps. The rope's not tight enough to kill, not yet. It's meant to torment, to stretch time until he's half man, half offering. You wonder what he's thinking. Is he cursing his choice or praying for Odin's approval? Historians still argue whether these rituals were about individual glory or collective survival. Did the clan pick in to appease the gods, or did he volunteer to cement his legend? No one's talking, and the silence feels like a trap. The chants shift, sharper now, and you notice the elders tracing patterns in the dirt runes, angular and ominous. They're not just pretty doodles, they're believed to channel Odin's power, maybe even to keep the warrior tethered to this world a bit longer. You smirk at the thought. Imagine Odin as a cosmic IT guy debugging the ritual with rune code. The crowd doesn't laugh. They're too busy watching the warrior whose fingers twitch like he's reaching for something invisible. You feel it too, a hum in the air, like the tree itself is whispering. Your eyes drift to the crowd. A woman, her face streaked with ash, clutches a bone pendant, muttering. A kid, barely old enough to hold a spear, stares wide-eyed, probably wondering if this is what heroes do. You're all part of this, complicit in the warrior's pain. Another joke bubbles up. What's the Viking version of a pep talk? Hang in there, literally. You swallow it. The mood's too heavy, the air thick with pine and despair. The warrior's lips move, but no sound comes out. Is he praying, cursing? You lean forward, straining to hear, but the chants swallow everything. The night drags on, and you notice the crowd thinning. Some slip away, maybe to sleep, maybe to escape the guilt. You stay rooted like Yggdrasil itself. The warrior's still hanging, his body a dark smudge against the tree's bark. The elders keep chanting, their voices hoarse, but relentless. You realize they're not just singing for Odin, they're telling a story, one where the warrior's suffering buys something for the clan. What, though? Victory, wisdom, or just another day without the god's wrath? You're not sure, but the weight of it presses on your chest. You glance at the rope, its fibers fraying slightly under the warrior's weight. It's no ordinary rope woven with herbs, they say, to ward off evil. Superstitious, sure, but you're starting to feel like anything could happen under this tree. The warrior's eyes flutter open, locking onto yours for a split second. You freeze. Does he see you, or is he already halfway to Valhalla? The chants rise, and you're pulled back into the rhythm, your voice joining the others without thinking. This ritual's got you now, and there's no backing out. You're still rooted to this frostbitten hill, the air sharp with pine and the sour tang of fear. Yggdrasil looms, its branches like skeletal fingers clutching the moon, and the warrior hangs there, a shadowed figure caught between earth and eternity. The chants have softened, a low drone now, but they pulse through you, tying you to this grim ritual. You're not just watching anymore, you're part of it. And the weight of that truth makes your chest tight. The 9-day hanging is no longer a story, it's a living, breathing ordeal. And you're about to meet the man at its heart. He's no faceless offering. You catch his name whispered among the crowd: Eric, a warrior who once split a rival's shield with a single axe swing. Now, he's bound to Yggdrasil, his body swaying as the rope creaks against the bark. Historical fact: Viking sagas, like those in the sagas of Icelanders, often describe warriors volunteering for sacrifice to gain Odin's favor, their deaths ensuring the clan's prosperity. But here's a quirky tidbit: some sources claim the chosen were given a sacred tattoo before the ritual, a rune inked with ash to mark them as Odin's. Imagine the needle's sting as a warm-up for 9 days of this. You step closer, the crowd's breath fogging the air. Eric's face is pale, streaked with sweat, but his jaws set, like he's chewing on his own resolve. You wonder why he agreed to this. Was it glory, duty, or did the elders' stares leave him no choice? Historians still argue whether these sacrifices were truly voluntary, or if the clan's expectations were a noose tighter than the one around his neck. You see his bound hands, the reeds cutting into his wrists, and your own fingers twitch, as if you could loosen them. Fat chance. The elders circle, their robes brushing the dirt. One holds a staff carved with runes, tapping it rhythmically, like he's keeping time for Odin himself. You smirk, imagine Odin as a band conductor, waving a spear instead of a baton. The thought fades fast. Eric's chest heaves, each breath a battle. The rope's not strangling him, not yet. It's calibrated to prolong the agony, to make him a bridge between worlds. You notice his eyes half open, staring at something beyond the tree. Is he seeing Odin? Or just the stars blurring through his pain? The crowd shifts uneasy. A woman mutters about omens, clutching a raven feather. Raven's Odin's spies, they say. You glance up, half expecting to see one perched on Yggdrasil's branches. Nothing yet, but the idea sends a shiver down your spine. Another joke pops up. What's a Viking's worst nightmare? A raven with a grudge. You keep it to yourself. The mood's too raw, the air heavy with the clan's collective guilt. They chose Eirik, after all. Or did he choose himself? You're not sure. But the question gnaws at you. You notice the ground beneath Eirik scuffed with runes and sprinkled with mead from last night's offering. The elders keep chanting, their voices fraying but relentless. They're not just praying, they're bargaining, offering Eirik suffering for Odin's wisdom. You feel the pull of it, the urge to join the chant, to lose yourself in the rhythm. Your lips move, but no sound comes out. You're an outsider here, yet you're caught. Just like Eirik. His head tilts slightly, and you swear he's looking at you, his gaze a silent plea or maybe a challenge. The night stretches, cold and unyielding. You wrap your cloak tighter, but it's no match for the chill seeping into your bones. Eirik's still hanging, his body a dark smudge against the tree's bark. You wonder how he's enduring it, how anyone could. The sagas don't say much about the first few days, but you're starting to understand this isn't about strength, it's about surrender. You glance at the crowd, their faces a mix of awe and dread. They're watching Eirik, but they're also watching themselves, wondering if they have the guts to take his place. You're still standing on this wine-scoured hill, the cold biting through your cloak as Yggdrasil's shadow swallows the moonlight. The warrior, Eirik, hangs before you, his body a stark silhouette against the tree's gnarled bark. The rope creaks, a sickening rhythm that matches the low hum of the clan's chants. You can't tear your eyes away from him, his bound hands, the reeds cutting into his wrists, the faint rise of his chest. The 9-day hanging is in full swing, and you're about to witness the ritual's dark heart. The moment the noose and runes bind Eirik to Odin's will. The elders move with purpose now, their steps deliberate as they circle the tree. One carries a small pouch, its contents clinking softly, bones maybe, or stones etched with symbols. They're preparing the runes, the Norse alphabet of power, believed to carry Odin's own voice. Historical fact, runes weren't just writing. Viking Age carvings on stones and weapons showed they were used in rituals to invoke divine favor or curse enemies. Quirky tidbit, some sagas whisper that the runes for this ritual were dipped in mead mixed with bloodwoe's blood. No one says, "Kriti, right?" You'd rather not know. You watch as an elder kneels, tracing a rune in the dirt beneath Eirik. It's answers, the sign of Odin's wisdom, sharp and angular like a blade. The crowd murmurs, their voices tinged with awe. You feel it to a prickle on your skin, like the air's charged with something ancient. The noose around Eirik's neck is tightened, just a fraction, enough to make his breath hitch. You wince, imagining the burn of the rope. Is this devotion or torture? Historians still argue whether the ritual was meant to honor the gods or terrify the clan into submission. Maybe it's both. The elder stands holding a rune stone aloft. It's carved with tuwas, the mark of courage, glinting in the torchlight. He presses it to Irik's chest, muttering words you can't catch. Irik's eyes flutter half-lidded, but he doesn't flinch. You wonder if he's still here, or if his mind's already wandering the 9 worlds. A joke sneaks in. What's a Viking's idea of a spa day, a rune massage with a side of strangulation? You bite your lip. Crowds to grin for humor, their faces locked on Eirik like he's their only hope. You notice the rope itself, woven with strange fiber shards, maybe, or something more sinister. It's not just for holding Eirik, it's part of the ritual, a tether to Yggdrasil's roots. The sub is hint that such ropes were blessed by seers, women who saw the future in firelight. You glance at the crowd, spotting a woman with a staff, her eyes sharp as a hawk's. Is she one of them? You're tempted to ask, but the chants drown out any chance of conversation. They're louder now, insistent, as if urging Eirik to hold on. Your gaze shifts back to Eirik. His fingers twitch, brushing the reeds binding his hands. You imagine him fighting the urge to claw at the noose, to scream, but he doesn't. He's still, almost serene, like he's made peace with this, or maybe he's just too exhausted to fight. You feel a pang of something pity, maybe, or respect. Another joke. Odin's probably up there, taking bets on how long Eirik lasts. You shake it off. This isn't the place for levity. Not when Eirik's life is a thread stretched thin. The elder steps back, his work done. The runes in the dirt glow faint liar. Maybe that's just the torchlight playing tricks. The crowd presses closer, their breath fogging the air. You're caught in the crush, your heart pounding as the chants reach a fever pitch. Eirik's head tilts, his lips moving silently. Is he praying, speaking to Odin? You lean forward, desperate to know, but the wind steals his words. The noose holds him, the runes bind him, and you're left wondering if he's already more god than man. The night deepens, the cold sinking into your bones. You wrap your arms around yourself, but it's no use. The chill comes from within, from watching Eirik dangle like a broken offering. The clan's still chanting, their voices a lifeline for him, or maybe for themselves. You're part of it now, your breath sensing with theirs, your eyes fixed on the warrior who's carrying the weight of their faith. You're still here, anchored to this frozen hill, the wind slicing through your cloak like a dull blade. Yggdrasil's branches creak above, framing the warrior Eirik, who dangles from that woven rope, his body a faint shadow against the tree's bark. The chants have faded to a weary hum, nearing the crowd's exhaustion, but no one leaves. You're all bound to this 9-day hanging, and today, first full day of Eirik's ordeal, feels like a test of your own endurance. The runes in the dirt seem to pulse under torchlight, and you're about to see what 9 days of suffering really means. Eirik's chest rises, each breath a small rebellion against the noose's grip. The rope's not tight enough to end him, but it's cruel, letting him linger in a haze of pain. Historical fact: Viking rituals, as described in the sagas of Icelanders, often stretched offerings over days to mimic Odin's own sacrifice on Yggdrasil, a grueling quest for divine insight. Quirky tidbit: some Norse shamans believed the first day was when the gods decided if the sacrifice was worthy. No pressure. Eirik. You glance at his face, pale and slick with sweat. Worthy or not, he's in deep. You shift your weight, boots crunching on frost. The crowd's quieter now, their eyes fixed on Eirik like he's a mirror of their own fears. You wonder how he's holding on. His hands, bound with reeds, hang limp, but his fingers twitch, as if grasping for something, hope, maybe, or Odin's promise. Historians still argue whether these warriors endured out of faith or sheer stubbornness, refusing to let the clan see them break. You catch a flicker of movement. Eirik's lips part, a faint groan escaping. The sound cuts through you, raw and human. An elder steps forward, his staff tapping the ground. He sprinkles mead over the runes, muttering about Odin's watchful eye. You smirk, imagine Odin squinting from Valhalla, checking his ritual checklist. The thought fades as the elder's voice rises, sharp and commanding. He's not praying, He's demanding Eirik endure, as if willpower alone can keep him alive. You notice the crowd nodding, their faces a mix of awe and guilt. They're rooting for him, but they're also the ones who tied the rope. The sun creeps up, weak and pale, casting long shadows from Yggdrasil's branches. You squint, your eyes burning from sleeplessness. Eirik's worse off, his head lolls, his breath shallow. The noose has left red marks on his neck, a brutal necklace. You imagine the burn, the ache in his lungs, and your own throat tightens. Another joke slips in. What's a Viking's morning routine? Coffee, stretch, and a quick hang? You swallow with crowds to tense, their whispers heavy with worry. Will Eirik make it through the day? Will Odin even care? You notice small offerings at the tree's base, bones, feathers, a chipped axe head, the clans hedging their bets, piling on gifts to sweeten the deal with the gods. You spot a girl, maybe 10, clutching a carved wooden horse, her eyes wide. She wants to at it but hesitates. Glancing at her mother, you feel a pang. This ritual's not just Eirik's, it's the whole clan's burden. You're caught in it too, your heart thudding as the chants pick up, urging Eirik to hold on. The day drags, the cold unrelenting. You wrap your cloak tighter, but it's no match for the chill of watching Eirik suffer. His eyes are half open, staring at nothing, or maybe at something you can't see. The sagas don't mention the first day's details, but you're learning fast. It's about survival, second by second. You glance at the runes again, their sharp lines and yielding. Are they helping him, or just mocking his pain? The elder keeps circling, his staff a steady beat, and you realize this is only the beginning. 8 more days to go. You're stuck here, just like Eirik, the crowd, the tree. The chants weave through the air, a fragile thread holding everyone together. You find yourself mouthing the words, not because you believe, but because it's something to do besides scream. Eirik still hanging, his body swaying slightly, a living offering to a god who might not even be listening. You're still planted on this bleak hill, the wind gnawing at your face as Yggdrasil's branches groan under an ashen sky. Eirik dangles from the rope, his body a ghost of itself, swaying in the faint dawn light. The chants have dwindled to a hoarse murmur, but the crowd stays, their eyes hollow from sleepless nights. You're all trapped in this 9-day hanging, and now as the second day bleeds into the ritual's heart, you're about to see Eirik's pain twist into something otherworldly, visions that blur the line between man and myth. Eirik's face is a mask of exhaustion, his skin gray, lips cracked. The noose holds him like a cruel lover, letting him breathe just enough to suffer. Historical fact: Norse sagas, including the sagas of Icelanders, described sacrificial warriors entering trance-like states, believed to be Odin's way of speaking through them. Quirky tidbit: some sources claim shamans fed victims herbs like henbanitos spark visions, making them see the gods. You glance at Eirik's half-closed eyes, glassy and unfocused. Is he seeing Odin, or just the inside of his own breaking mind? You shuffle closer, the frost crunching underfoot. Eirik's breaths are ragged, each one a small miracle. His head tilts, and a low moan escapes, not pain, but something else, like he's answering a voice you can't hear. The crowd stirs uneasy. A woman whispers about sight beyond sight, her fingers clutching a rune pendant. You feel it to a hum in the air, like Yggdrasil's roots are vibrating. Historians still argue whether these visions were divine or just delirium from pain and starvation. Either way, Eirik's not entirely here anymore. An elder approaches, his staff dragging in the dirt. He mutters, sprinkling ash over the runes at the tree's base. They're faded now, smudged by wind and boots, but still sharp pantsus to was binding Eirik to Odin's will. You smirk. Imagine Odin as a cosmic DJ spinning visions to keep Eirik hooked. The thought fades as the elder raises a horn, not for mead, but to blow a single, haunting note. The sound cuts through the chants, and Eirik's body jerks, his eyes snapping open. You freeze. He's looking somewhere through the tree maybe, or into the 9 worlds. You notice his fingers, bound by reeds, curling like they're tracing shapes in the air, runes or just spasms. The crowd leans in, their breaths fogging the cold. A boy mutters about Valhalla, earning a sharp hush from his father. You wonder what Eirik sees. Golden halls, Odin's one-eyed stare, or nothing but pain's endless fog. Another joke creeps up. What's a Viking's version of Netflix? Hallucinations, free with every news. You swalloweth crowds to raw, their faces taut with hope and dread. They want Eirik to see something, to prove this isn't all for nothing. The day stretches, the sun a weak smear behind clouds. You're shivering, your cloak no match for the chill seeping from the ritual itself. Eirik's moans grow softer, more rhythmic, like he's chanting with the elders in his own way. You catch a word Odin, or maybe you imagined it. The sagas don't detail these moments, but you're seeing it, the slow unraveling of a man into something else. A bridge, maybe, or a message. You glance at the tree, its bark scarred from years of ropes. How many Eiriks has it held? The crowd's quieter now, some sitting, others swaying with the chants. You spot the seer from before, her staff planted, eyes locked on Eirik. She nods, like she sees what he sees. You're tempted to ask, but your voice feels stuck, drowned by the ritual's weight. Another joke. Maybe she's Odin's secretary booking his visions. You shake it off. Eirik's head lolls, his eyes fluttering shut, then open again, wide and wild. He's somewhere else, and you're stuck here, watching a man talk to gods or shadows. The light fades, the cold deepening. You're exhausted, but you can't look away. Eirik still hanging, his body a frail tether between worlds. The chants keep going, a lifeline for him, or maybe for the clan's conscience. You find yourself humming along, caught in the rhythm, your heart heavy with questions. Is Eirik finding answers, or just losing himself? You're still rooted to this windlash hill, the cold seeping into your bones as Yggdrasil's gnarled branches claw at the gray dawn. Eirik hangs there, a fading shadow against the tree's scarred bark, the rope creaking like a grim metronome. The chants are barely audible now, frayed by days of relentless prayer, and the crowd's faces mirror your own exhaustion, hollow, haunted, yet unable to leave. The 9-day hanging grinds on, and today, as Eirik's body weakens, you're about to feel the raw edge of survival, where ravens circle, and hunger becomes a second noose. Eirik's chest barely moves, each breath a shallow gasp against the rope's cruel embrace. His skin is ashen, lips cracked like dry earth, and his bound hands dangle, lifeless, but for faint twitches. Historical fact, Viking rituals, as noted in the sagas of Icelanders, often left sacrificial warriors without food or water, their suffering seen as a gift to Odin's insatiable wisdom. Quirky tidbit, some Norse tales claim Odin's ravens, Hugin and Munin, hovered over such rituals, reporting back to the Allfather like feathered spies. You glance up, and their 12 black shapes perch on Yggdrasil's branches, their eyes glinting. Coincidence? Your skin prickles. You step closer, the frost snapping under your boots. Eirik's eyes are half open, glassy, staring into a void you can't fathom. The hunger must be tearing at him, a beast gnawing from within. You feel your own stomach twist, though you've eaten lichen. Historians still argue whether the clan withheld food to purify the sacrifice, or to push him closer to Odin's realm through sheer desperation. Either way, Eirik's wasting away, and you're watching it happen, second by agonizing second. A raven caws, sharp and mocking, and the crowd stirs. An elder scatters bone fragments at the tree's base, muttering about keeping the gods pleased. You smirk, imagine Odin texting his ravens for a status update. The thought fades as another raven swoops low, its wings brushing the air near Eirik. The crowd gasps, some whispering about omens, others clutching amulets. You feel it too, a weight, like the air's holding its breath. Eirik's head jerks slightly, as if he senses the bird. Is he still here, or is he drifting where ravens led? You notice the cold now, sharper than before, sinking into your joints. Eirik must be beyond feeling it, his body numb from exposure. The rope's left raw welts on his neck, and you imagine the burn, the ache in his limbs. Another joke creeps in. What's a Viking's diet plan? 9 days of air and prayers. You swallow with crowds to tense, their eyes darting between Eirik and the ravens. A woman mutters about Odin's judgment, her voice trembling. The birds don't leave, they watch, silent now, their presence a blade hanging over everyone. The day crawls, the sky heavy with clouds. You spot offerings piling up, more bones, a rusted knife, a braided cord. The clan's desperate, throwing trinkets at Yggdrasil like it's a cosmic vending machine. You see the girl from before, her wooden horse now at the tree's roots, her eyes red. You want to comfort her, but words feel useless here. Irik's moans have stopped, replaced by a faint wheeze. The sagas don't describe this moment, but you're living it, the slow theft of a man's strength, his body of fragile thread stretched across days. You wrap your cloak tighter, but the coal's not just outside, it's in the ritual. In Irik's fading pulse, the ravens shift, one hopping closer along the branch. You wonder if they're waiting for him to break, or if they're Odin's eyes measuring his worth. Another joke. Maybe they're here for the popcorn Viking style, extra grim. You shake it off. Irik's fingers curl, then still, the crowd's whispers grow urgent, some praying, others cursing the god's silence. You're caught in it, your breath fogging as you stare at the warrior who's barely holding on. The chants sputter, but they don't stop, a faint pulse keeping the ritual alive. You find yourself swaying to their rhythm, not out of faith, but exhaustion. Irik still hanging, the ravens still watching, and you're left wondering how much longer he can last, or if the gods are even paying attention. You're still here, tethered to this wine-battered hill, the air thick with frost and the faint reek of despair. Yggdrasil looms, its branches like a cage against the dimming sky, and Irik hangs, a broken figure swaying in the rope's cruel grip. The chants are a faint rasp now, barely holding the crowd together, their faces etched with fatigue and doubt. The 9-day hanging drags into its later days, and you're about to join the clan in their silent vigil, grappling with what this ritual means to them, to Irik, to you. Irik's body is a shell, his skin gray as ash, the nooses welts raw and angry on his neck. His breaths are so shallow you strain to see them, each one a defiance of the inevitable. Historical fact, Norse rituals, as recorded in the sagas of Icelanders, relied on the community's presence to witness the sacrifice, their collective faith amplifying its power. Quirky tidbit, some clans believed a crowd's silence could anger Odin, so they kept chanting, even when their voices gave out talk about peer pressure. You glance around, seeing lips move, but the sound's more habit than heart. You shift, your legs aching from standing so long. The clan's a mix of devotion and unease. Kneel, others stand rigid, their eyes on Irik like he's their only anchor. You wonder what they're thinking. Is this worth it? Does Odin care? Historians still argue whether these rituals united tribes or tore them apart, sowing guilt and division. You see it in their face, pride warring with shame. A man nearby, his beard flecked with gray, mutters about the old ways. His wife shushes him, but you catch her trembling hands. The ravens are still here, perched on Yggdrasil's branches, their black eyes unblinking. One lets out a low croak, and the crowd flinches. You smirk, imagine Odin's ravens as gossip columnists, scribbling notes on Irik's performance. The thought fades as an elder shuffles forward, his staff scraping the dirt. He doesn't speak, just stares at Irik, then at the runes, smudged but still sharp, answers. To us, they're supposed to guide Irik to Odin, but right now, they look like cruel graffiti. You wonder if the elder believes, or if he's just going through the motions. You notice the offerings at the tree's base, bones, feathers, that girl's wooden horse joined by a dented shield. The clan's piling on, desperate for a sign. You feel their tension, a knot in your chest. Irik's head lolls, his eyes closed, or maybe just too heavy to open. Is he still seeing visions? Or has pain swallowed everything? Another joke creeps in. What's a Viking's group therapy, watching a guy hang while you whisper prayers? You bite it back, crowds too fragile, some wiping tears, others glaring at the sky like it owes them answers. You step closer, the frost crunching softly. The seer from before stands apart, her staff planted, her gaze cutting through the crowd to Irik. She nods almost imperceptibly, like she's reading something in his stillness. You want to ask what, but the silence feels sacred. Or maybe just oppressive. The sagas don't say how the clan coped with these days, but you're feeling it a shared weight, a question no one dares voice. What if Eirik dies for nothing? What if Odin's not watching? The day fades, the cold sharper now clawing at your face. You pull your cloak tight, but it's no shield against the ritual's chill. Eirik's barely moving, his body a faint sway in the rope's grip. The ravens shift, one spreading its wings, then settling. You wonder if they're waiting for the end or if they're here to carry Eirik's soul. Another joke. Maybe they're Odin's Uber, ready for pickup. You shake it off. The crowd's whispers droll, some praying, others debating softly, like they're afraid to break the spell. You're part of this now, your breath sensing with theirs, your eyes on Eirik. The chants flicker, weak but stubborn, and you find yourself humming, not for Odin but for Eirik, for the clan, for something to hold onto. This vigil's not just about him, it's about what you're all willing to believe or sacrifice to keep the gods' favor. You're still bound to this windswept hill, the air heavy with frost and the faint musk of fading hope. Yggdrasil's branches cast jagged shadows, framing Eirik, who hangs in the rope's unyielding grip, his body a frail wisp against the tree's ancient bark. The chants are barely a whisper now, the crowd's voices cracked from days of relentless prayer. You're all teetering on the edge of the 9-day hanging's final night, and as Eirik's life flickers, you're about to witness the ritual's climax, Odin's judgment, or perhaps his mercy. Eirik's face is a ghost's, hollowed by hunger and pain. The nooses welts like cruel tattoos on his neck. His breaths are so faint you lean forward, squinting to catch the rise of his chest. Historical fact, Norse sagas, like those in the sagas of Icelanders, describe the final moments of such rituals as a sacred threshold, where the sacrifice either joins the gods or fails, leaving the clan cursed. Quirky tidbit, some tales claim the last night's silence was so potent it could summon Odin's spear, gunned near as a sign of approval. You glance at the sky, half expecting a glint of metal, nothing but clouds. You shuffle closer, your boots scraping frost. The crowd's a tableau of dread and devotion, some clutch runes. Others stare at Eirik like he's their last chance. You wonder if they're praying for him or themselves. Historians still argue whether the ritual's end was about divine favor or communal catharsis, a way to purge guilt by pinning it on one man. Eirik's eyes are closed, his lips parted, but no sound comes. Is he still fighting, or has he surrendered to whatever waits beyond? An elder steps forward, his staff trembling in his grip. He scatters ash over the smudged renaissances. Tuwazand raises his hands, voice hoarse but fierce, demanding Odin's verdict. The ravens, still perched, let out a sharp caw, and the crowd gasps. You smirk, imagine Odin sending his ravens with a pass or fail note. The thought fades as Eirik's body twitches. A faint shudder, the elder freezes, then nods like he's seen a sign. You strain to see it too, but there's only Eirik, hanging, and the tree silent as ever. The night deepens, the cold a blade against your skin. You notice the offerings, bones, feathers, the girl's wooden horse and joined by a bloodied cloth, maybe a warrior's. The clan's Olin, their faith or fear laid bare. You feel it, a knot in your throat, as Eirik's head tilts, his breath a faint wheeze. Another joke creeps in. What's a Viking's exit interview? 9 days of pain. Then Odin's thumbs up. You swallow with crowds to raw, some weeping, others gripping each other's hands. They're waiting for something, anything, to justify this. You spot the seer, her staff planted, eyes locked on Eirik. She murmurs, too soft to hear, but her face is calm, like she knows the ending. You want to believe her, but doubt gnaws at you. The sagas don't detail this moment's resolution, but you're here watching Eirik's life ebb. The ravens shift, one taking flight, circling low. The crowd murmurs a man or accident. You feel a chill, not from the wind, but from the weight of what's coming. Eirik's fingers curl, then still. His chest rises once, twice, then stops. The elder lowers his hands, the chants dying out. Silence crashes in, heavy, final. You hold your breath, eyes on Eirik. Is this it? Did Odin take him? Or did he just slip away? The seer steps forward, touching the rope, then nods. The crowd exhales, some sobbing, others bowing their heads. You're not sure what it means, mercy, judgment, or nothing at all. Another joke. Maybe Odin's just bad at answering prayers. You shake it off. This is no place for humor, not when Irik's gone, his body still swaying, a quiet offering to a god who might not have shown up. You're left staring at Yggdrasil, its branches unmoved by the clan's grief. The ravens are gone, the runes faded, the offering's a sad pyre. You're part of this now, your heart heavy with questions no one can answer. Did Eirik win Odin's favor, or was it all for nothing? You stand on this frost-bitten hill, the wind now a soft sigh as Yggdrasil's branches fade into the twilight's hush. Eirik's body, still bound by the rope, hangs motionless, a final shadow against the tree's ancient bark. The crowd is silent, their faces a map of grief, all and unanswered questions. The 9-day hanging has ended, and you're left among the clan, sifting through the ritual's weight, its echoes in the sagas, and its mark on the world beyond this hill. You're about to trace the legacy of Yggdrasil's sacrifice, wondering what it all meant. The air feels lighter, or maybe it's just exhaustion settling in. Eirik's gone, his last breath stolen by the news or claimed by Odin, no one's sure. Historical fact. Norse rituals like those in the sagas of Icelanders shaped Viking culture, their stories of sacrifice fueling myths that outlived the old gods, even as Christianity crept in. Quirky tidbit, some saga scribes, writing centuries later, added poetic flourishes claiming warriors like Eirik became stars in Odin's skyromantic, but probably not on Eirik's mind while he hung. You glance at the stars now, half wondering if he's up there. You turn to the crowd, their silence louder than the chants ever were. The elder who led the ritual kneels, touching the faded renaissances, tiwas like they might still hold answers. The seer stands apart, her staff steady, her eyes on the horizon. You wonder what she sees, Odin's approval, or just another dawn. Historians still argue whether these rituals strengthened clans or haunted them, their legacy a mix of pride and trauma. You see it in the crowd's face, some clutch amulets, others turn away, as if Eirik's death is a mirror they can't face. The offerings at Yggdrasil's base, bones, feathers, the girl's wooden horse looks small now, a fragile plea to a god who stayed silent. You spot the girl, her face streaked with tears, clinging to her mother. You want to tell her Eirik's sacrifice mattered, but the words feel hollow. A smirk rises. Imagine Odin running a suggestion box for better rituals. The thought fades as you notice the clan starting to disperse, their steps heavy, like they're carrying Eirik's weight. You're not ready to leave, not yet. This yoke, this tree, this moment, it's carved itself into you. You think about the sagas, how they'll tell Eirik's story or one like it. Will they call him a hero, a victim, or just a name lost to time? The Norse believed sacrifices like this kept the cosmos spinning, but you're not so sure. You glance at Yggdrasil, its bark scarred from countless ropes. How many Eiriks has it seen? Another joke. Maybe the tree's the real god here, outlasting them all. You swallow if clan's grief is too raw, their whispers too soft for humor. They're talking about Eirik now, his axe swings, his laugh, like they're trying to keep him alive. The legacy of this ritual stretches beyond the hill. You imagine future generations, gathered around fires, reciting tales of men who hung for Odin. Some will call it barbaric, others divine. You wonder what Eirik would say if he could. Did he find Odin's wisdom, or just darkness? The sagas don't answer, and neither does the tree. You're left with the clan, their faith, their doubt, and a story that's already slipping into myth. As the last figures drift away, you linger, the cold gentler now, the stars brighter. Yggdrasil stands quiet, its roots deep in worlds you'll never see. You feel a strange peace, like the ritual's weight has settled into something softer, something you can carry. The night wraps around you now, soft and slow, like a blanket woven from starlight. Yggdrasil fades into the dark, its branches blending with the sky, and the hill feels smaller, quieter, as if the world's exhaling. Eirik's story, raw and heavy, slips into the past, joining countless others whispered under these same stars. You're safe here, far from ropes and runes, your breath steady, your heart calm. Let the clans chants, their grief, their hope, drift away like smoke. You've walked their path, felt their cold, and now it's time to rest. Close your eyes, let the wind's lullaby carry you. The gods, if they're watching, have nothing more to ask. Sleep now, wrapped in the night's gentle arms, and let Yggdrasil's shadow dissolve into dreams.